Before we start, allow me to introduce to you our panel of distinguished educators for today's debate. Let's start with the alphabetical order. We have Kak Dinda Permata here. Good evening, Kak Dinda.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
And also we have Kak Keisha Aime. Good evening, Kak Keisha.
Hello, evening, everyone.
And last but not least, we have Kak William Aron. Good evening, Kak William.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you to all of the educators for coming. Before we start, I will announce that the motion for today's debate is this House will against death penalty system in Indonesia due to human rights. So, the two teams in today's debate are from mathematics major and chemistry major. For the team representative I called, please introduce the debaters and the team split from first speaker, second speaker, third speaker, and reply speaker. Firstly, from the government team representing mathematics major, please introduce your debaters.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me introduce my team. My name is Lisa Devianti. I'm the first speaker from the government team. And then we have the second speaker is Muhammad Randy Setiawan. And then the third speaker is Muhammad Faisal. And it's me, Lisa Devianti, also be the reply speaker. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And next, from the opposition team representing chemistry major, please introduce your debaters.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce our team. First, the first speaker is me, Richard Muhammad Rambar, and the second speaker is Diva Ananda, and the third speaker is Diana Lovely, and the reply speaker is Ananda Diva. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we proceed, I would like to remind the speakers of both teams of some rules and guidelines for today's debate. First, check your chat box frequently because the timekeeper is going to notify the time there. Second, when the timekeeper opens the POI time, the opposing team can offer POI. The speaker may accept or decline them. Third, a time limit of 15 seconds is allowed for each POI. You can do POI through the chat box to everyone by hashtag POI, or if the speaker doesn't respond to you, you can use the raise hand feature. The maximum acceptance of POI is 3 times, and the maximum rejection is 2 times. Fourth, if the backup member makes a speech, then the main member cannot continue his or her speech again and can only return to the forum after the backup member has finished his or her speech. Okay, before we start the match, I will give both teams 20 minutes to do case building until 18 past, until 19 past 8. Case building begins. 19 from the government.
Okay. And now I'm at the government team. This house well against the penalty system in Indonesia due to human rights. Okay, in general, we know that the death penalty or a criminal by directly killing the person is mostly by shooting them. The sentence ordering that on offender is to be punished, and the act of carrying out the sentence is known as execution. And this death penalty system in Indonesia because it really against our human rights. 133 the death penalty can be given to several crimes. An example, murdering, drugs trafficking, and terrorism. But it really against the human rights. At Article 1 had rights to have a living. This house will strongly against the death penalty, as we know that everyone should have a second chance to be a better person. We don't know what the reason, and then we should use our conscience to them to punish them and make them know that they're wrong. Sorry, I would like to reject the POI first, and then why should a penalty system when there's many other punishment for them, such as they can live in jail for their age, and then maybe social punishment would really suit for them. And then some people do the crime not because they want, but because they have to. So it's still not sweet for the human rights. And then we will still against this death penalty system for Indonesia. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the first speaker from the government team. To continue, I call upon the first speaker from the opposition, Rishad Muhammad Nurakbar, to deliver his speech. First speaker, you may start.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Richard Muhammad Akbar as the first speaker of the opposition team. So first thing first, I would like to respond to the definition of the first speaker of the government team that I agree with the definition. But I disagree with the arguments because based on survey on Tilto.id shows that death penalty is agreed by 69% of Indonesian people. And I think like the first speaker of the government team said that death penalty doesn't apply to the ordinary crime like theft or verbal abuse. But in chapter number 10 in KUHP, or we can call crime codes uh, that there are punishable by death in the criminal code. For example, chapter 104 of the criminal code uh, said that the person who kills the head of the state must be punished by death penalty. And chapter number 111, paragraph 2, said that inviting foreign countries to attack Indonesia is punishable by death penalty. And also in chapter number 124, paragraph 3, also says that providing assistance to the enemy when Indonesia was in a state of war also punishable by death penalty. So from those chapters we can tell that death crim- death penalty is not applied to ordinary crime. So um, if you say that the death penalty violates a person's right to life, I think it is not entirely wrong. But human rights apply as long as the person who doesn't violate basic obligation. Because I think rights and obligation can be separated. So I wanna ask that what makes you sure that terrorists, murderers, or psychopaths and drug dealers will not repeat the crimes again? So I think we as the opposition team disagree to our motion today, and I would like to give our solution that the government can do this death penalty as long as it is done by fairly, and the government do this penalty as the last option if the crime is beyond the limit. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for the first speaker from the opposition team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to listen to the second speaker from the government, Muhammad Randy Setiawan, to deliver his speech. Second speaker, you may start.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the chance to use my argument here. First of all, I would like to review the first speaker of the opposition team. The first opposition team using this public poll to declare what is argumented about the death penalty. I mean, we live in society, okay, and then is always blowing up and spicing up what they want to do, okay, and then we use the public poll. I mean, how is that really so, comparable? I mean, it's public, man. It's anonymous, okay. They can do whatever they want, but how could they back their argument with a real argument that can back it up? Okay, here's my argument. Okay, first of all, according to in the world is always declining or decreasing year by year. Okay, but the problem is in Indonesia it's rising up, especially in 2020 when we're still battling with pandemics, when we need to save the lives so as much as we can. Okay, but how is it possible that this country is killing more people in the death penalty? Okay, how many this much? Okay, the new sentence of death penalty in Indonesia is 22% of the Asian Pacific state. Okay, this is more than 1/5. I mean, this is 20% is a big number. Okay, and then and the law of Indonesia number 39 of 1999, we have rights, okay? We have rights and not being tortured. It's really guaranteed. This is law of Indonesian, okay? And then death penalty for me and for our house is not a solution. How is that called a solution when what you do is taking someone life regardless of any circumstances that you had? Man, what makes this more ironic and disturbing for me is the fact that Indonesian utilize this type of punishment, okay? Penalty is still a backward move in the modern society that really is to be stopped. Many countries have already done that, but we are. How? And then the second argument is everyone deserves a redemption, okay? What makes us human is that we tend to corrupt, but we have and always have potential to grow up as and develop into a better person from we born until we die. And you agree to stop that person's chance to redeem themselves by taking their lives? Okay, they're not a good person, of course. They are a bad person, so they caught up in the situation when their life is on a stake. But do you really believe that this person do not have any chance or possibility to grow as a person? And then when life with the lifetime sentence in the prison is enough, why bother to end their life mercilessly? Okay, this is our solution. I mean, what we will do, you know. Okay, sorry for this time. I would like to. Okay, this time I will.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. As I said before, this penalty death is not applied to this an ordinary crime. And my question is crime when the pandemic is happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the POI. Okay, how? I mean, it's extraordinary crime, right? Okay, this is an extraordinary crime, but is this still not a human? Okay, they're still a human. What's different? Okay, their type of criminal is different. Okay, but they're still a human. Like I said before, people tend to corrupt, but they always have potential to grow up and develop into a better person. Okay, they're still, even so little, they still have chance to grow and redeem themselves. Okay, but this is ironic. Okay, when the pandemic starts and then people starting to lose themselves and the country is taking their lives. Okay, so that's my take. Okay, we still have chance. People still have chance to redeem themselves. And then back to my argument, when keeping them alive, it's lifetime sentence and prison enough. Why bother to end their life mercilessly? Okay, their prison, they have time to rethink. Okay, to think about what they're gonna do in their lives, or still, okay, they will think about what have they done to the people. I mean, it's really extraordinary crime. Okay, then this house have think about what we should do about this person. They do something so terrible. I mean, very terrible crime, and then what we're gonna do is give them trial. Okay, give them trial, 10 years or 20 years. If they tend to give a good impression, okay, if they have a good impression and then tend to redeem themselves and be a better person, just repeat cancel their death penalty and change it to a lifetime sentence at the prison. I mean, if we can keep them out from the society, they can't do what they call a crime or extraordinary crime. So I think that's all of my argument. Thank you very much.
Right? Thank you for the second speaker from the government team. Now, I call upon the second speaker from the opposition, Ananda Diva Evrianti, to deliver her speech. Second speaker, you may start.
Okay, thank you for the opportunities. I would like to respond the arguments of the government team before, because you always said about we giving up people a second chance or kind of like that. But I think it's very personal because you cannot convince us. It is the person will change, be a better person if they had a second chance to change. I mean, what if they are a really psychopath? We don't know because it is very private. So, and we forgot about the essential purpose of that penalty is to provide a deterrent effect for the criminals. And from the human aspect, the death penalty is needed to protect society from the action of bad people. And I would like to give you an example because we have seen a lot, we have heard a lot about terrorism that make people, unsafe. We feel unsafe. And when the terrorists are caught and executed and give a death penalty, we can at least feel safe and we can prevent the same people who want to do the same thing that threaten many societies and people with heinous crimes. And yes, we should agree that law should not side with the right of the perpetrators of crimes, but also we also remember the right of the victim of the crimes, the right of life of the victims who have been deprived of the perpetrators. For example, in the case of terrorism, serial killers, or premeditated murder, must also be considered. When a number of parties criticize and ask Indonesia to stop the death penalty to establish it, a number of parties reject it with a normative argument, that namely that the death penalty is currently a positive law, and when a convicted person has been sentenced to death by the court, it must be implemented to ensure certainly. And in the situation like this, it is better for those who support the death penalty not to think that those who reject the death penalty are those who support the perpetrators. So we also support the victim and effort to tackle trial. But and I think the pro and cons actually reject crime and try to protect the victims, but we have a different approaches. And in fact, Indonesians also do not need to submit the pressure from other countries to stop that penalty because it must uphold. In the field of law, another important arguments on the part of those we who support that penalty is also for crime prevention, because the more serious the level of the crime that is often carried out by super sadistic acts, make us, the wider community or the government or our environment, consider the death penalty to be necessary. What if there is no death penalty? Well, even the death penalty, there are still many crimes that may be hideous and tragic. We have here a lot of cases of that, and that penalty, I think, maybe does not need to be abolished, especially for the crimes such as terrorism and very tragic murders. But our government must have a strong consideration and evidence regarding. I'm sorry, I declined the POI. Regarding the perpetrators of crime, that all the justice can be carried out. Because remember, the death penalty is to provide a deterrent effect for the criminals, and also we want to serve if something goes wrong, life sentence, because I think the government must think a lot of consideration before punishing people with a death penalty. So because life sentence can be imposed, not necessarily the death penalty, because once we carry out the death penalty, and if something goes wrong, who will bring them back to life? And
Okay, thank you for the second speaker from the opposition team. I shall now call upon the third speaker from the government team, Muhammad Faisal to deliver his speech. Third speaker, you may start.
I'm sorry, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Before I deliver my speech and the honorable judges and all of you, I'm going to deliver my argument in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker from the opposition team said that we can use the death penalty as the final law. I disagree with this statement because according to the tempo.com said that the strong or big financial law still increasing up to 23% per year. So if we are lively using this law, what if we apply the applications of punishment directly? If will make the perpetrator not feel the experience in this life. And the second speaker from the opposition team said that by applying the death penalty will provide a sense of security to the community. Do you think only certain circles feel that way? Because according to the CNBC.com, it says that 73.5% of Indonesian people support not to apply the death penalty in Indonesia. It proves that many Indonesian people do not agree with the application of the death penalty because it is based on human rights issues. And I want to emphasize the argument from my first and the second speaker from my team, from my government team, affirmative team. The first, according to our first speaker from my team, that she said that death penalty can broke our human rights. That's because that's true. According to the CNBCindonesia.com, that what makes it big is the social disease poverty that exists. That's why crime is more common in poor areas. So if we are using death penalty, it can rob their economics and family happiness. We strongly agree with this motion. For example, we can use a drugs case, a drug case in Indonesia. We are applying the death penalty, but the fact that narcotics are still rising and make it worse in this pandemic condition, because according to the CNBCindonesia.com said that in 2019, Indonesian National Police revealed 2.7 tons of crystal methylene into 2020. As of this day, the data showed a 4.57 tons. So there is an increase from 22.7 tons to 4.57 tons, which means increase 2 tons. According to the Bahasan ID, that the death penalty is against the constitution. They argued that the death penalty was clearly against a person's right to live. Well, they also argued that the moral philosophy of the constitution does not give the state of the authority to impose the death penalty. In addition, there are those who argue that criminal law is not a perfect law because errors often occur in this enforcement. Therefore, the death penalty should be imposed. There are even judges who are of the opinion the death penalty is in the narcotics law, but all death sentences to any lawsuits should be abolished because it is contrary to the constitutions. And I'm strongly agree with our second speaker from my team that when we clarify that death sentence is not a solution, but it is a big problem. The increasing number of death penalty sentences shows that the Indonesian government has no commitment to protect the rights of citizens to live in this country. Moreover, the high rate of death penalty sentences in Indonesia is also very high, contrary to the image of that is being built by the government of Indonesia at the international. According to the CNNindonesia.com, that fact that Indonesia was elected as a member of the UN Human Rights Council in 2020, even become a non-permanent member in the UN Security Council, which is very important positions, respected and strategic at the international level. But in reality, Indonesia is still do not yet have a political will to support the recommendations of death sentences. And besides that, according to the Tempo.com, that the coalitions considers that the application of death penalty is inappropriate in Indonesia, especially considering the legal process and judicial systems in Indonesia, which still there are many serious problems, such as a rampant, misguided judiciary, corruption, violent practices, wrongdoing, arrests, and lack of access to quality legal aid to transparency issues. And because of that, I want to clarify that I was really agree with these motions that this House would against death penalty system in Indonesia due to human rights in order to support the human rights in our daily life, especially for the Indonesian people. That's all from my argument. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the third speaker from the government team. It is now time to listen to the rebuttals of the third opposition speaker, Jenna Lovely Angel, to deliver her speech. Third speaker, you may start.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself first. I am General Angel as the third speaker of the opposition team. Before I deliver my speech, I would like to review what the third speaker of the government team had said. You say that in Indonesia, the criminal rate still decreasing, even though there is still death penalty in Indonesia. And I will ask you this, what if there is no death penalty at all? I mean, even with the death penalty, there are still so many crimes in Indonesia. So that's why I would like to disagree with you. And I would also like to point out a few things from what my partner has said, Diva. The death penalty is to provide a deterrent effect for criminals. And according to komnasham.go.id, death penalty is not the main subject of the punishment. The death penalty is only to provide a deterrent effect. So I also agree with Rishad. The death penalty is not for the basic and ordinary crimes. Because according to national.okzone.com, a lot of cases of death penalty is about murder, terrorism, and etc. So I think we have to disagree with the government team. Also, we should argue that the law should not only side with the rights of perpetrators of crimes, but also the rights of victims of crimes. I'm really sorry, I have to decline the POI. In fact, Indonesia also does not need to submit to pressure from other countries because it must uphold sovereignty in the field of law. And we will prefer death penalty as a last option to punish people or perpetrators, especially terrorism, premeditated murders, not as a main punishment. Again, not as a main punishment. The main purpose of death penalty is to provide a deterrent effect. I'm sorry, I really have to say that again, because according to the government team, you say that the death penalty brings no effect to the crimes in Indonesia. And another important argument on the part of those who support the death penalty is for crime prevention, because the more serious the level of crime that is often carried out with super sadistic acts makes the wider community still consider the death penalty to be necessary. And the death penalty does not need to be abolished, especially for crimes such as terrorism and very tragic murders, but our government must have strong considerations and evidence regarding the perpetrators of crimes so that all just can be carried out. That's why we as the opposition team, we disagree that the death penalty has to be vanished, because the more serious the level of crime that is often carried out, and if there is no death penalty, then we still have a lot of crimes in Indonesia. So I think that is all for my argument. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the third speaker from the opposition team. Now that we have heard all the three speakers from both teams, to summarize, I call upon the opposition reply speaker, Ananda Diva Evianti, to make her reply speech.
Thank you for the opportunities. And first, let me introduce myself. I'm Ananda Diva as the reply speaker of the opposite team. And I would like to say that previously my partner had said, because first we would prefer that penalty is as a last option, as the last option to punish people or perpetrators, especially like terrorism, premeditated murders, and not as a main punishment. And we also should not have forget that the main purpose of death penalty is to provide a deterrent effect for criminals and is needed to protect our society from the action of the bad people. And also the important things on the part who we are the opposite team who support the death penalty is not to be established is to for crime prevention, because the more serious the level of crime that is often carried out with super sadistic acts like terrorism, like premeditated murders, and many else, it makes our the wider community still consider the death penalty is yes is necessary. And also the death penalty, we we agree that it doesn't has to be established totally, because especially for the crime as a terrorism and very tragic murder, but it is a note for us that our government must have a strong and a lot of consideration and evidence regarding the perpetrators of the crime, so that all the justice can be carried out, so especially justice for the victims and their bereaved families. And that is for me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the replay from the opposition team. I shall now call upon the government reply speaker, Lisa Devianti, to make her reply speech.
Okay, now let me summarize our argument for the government teams that really match with the motion that we against the death penalty system in Indonesia due to human rights. That is led by human rights, and it's and the death penalty really against human rights, where it said that everyone can have a right to have a living and living freely. And then death penalty is not a solution, because there are many other options to punish them and make them feel more dead than the death penalty. You know, they live, but they feel that more than that, worse. And then why should by killing them, why should death penalty? Because when murdering is a heavy crime, then should we do the same to attempt that? Then what is the difference when we agree? What is the difference between us and the criminals? And then like my team said before, that everyone deserves a second chance. They deserve redemption. That that maybe they can be a better person after their punishment, or they can do something that can be more useful to the country. And from this point, we don't think that that penalty system in Indonesia isn't necessary at all. And then most of people agree to the death penalty because they don't know how it feels when someone forced to do crimes, not because they want, but because they have to, and someone pushed them to do that. And then the crime beyond the limits. What if they friend by anyone else and they already executed? That's really not a justice as right. And then we can't call someone a human just because they form and born as a human. We blessed by a heart, and that's where human rights from. And why should that when we can have so many other options? And then if there's and if they give any other punishment, that could be two options. They feel more dead, or they can evaluate themselves and be a better person. So that's all I can say. We still agree that the death penalty system in Indonesia doesn't necessary at all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the reply from the government team. So that marks the end of the debate. The adjudicators will now do an evaluation for today's debate and hand over the results. So I will give the floor to the adjudicators. Firstly, let's start from Kak Keisha. For Kak Keisha, please give your evaluation. Okay, maybe she have some issues. Let's move to the Kak Dinda first. To Kak Dinda, please give your evaluation.
Okay, thank you. First, I would like to appreciate you guys for giving us a good match. I actually don't have many comments for you guys, but I think first I would like to give a comments for the second speaker of government team. I think you give a really good arguments, and but the second speaker of opposition team responded really well for me. Then move and then I like the pronunciation and the intonation for the second speaker of opposition team. I think you give evidence and argument really clear. And then move to third speaker from opposition team and third speaker of government team. I think you guys give good arguments too. And then for the reply speaker from the opposition team, I think you emphasize the arguments really well, and I think the opposition team discuss and give evidence more more broadly. I think that's really good. I think for me that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Dinda. Okay, next, let's move to Kak William. To Kak William, please give your evaluation.
Okay, thank you for the time. Well, I think that's an unexpected match. Lots of mistakes that shouldn't exist. First of all, I want to appreciate you guys to give a good match today. And first, from the government team, to first speaker, you have a good opinion and provide the evidence too. But I think you used the word that unconvincing me. In the end, you gave your statement that you used the word maybe, and that's a fatal. The word maybe, it's the way you the word that unconvincing the educators. It's the word maybe. I think it's not good to use. And for the first speaker from opposition team, that's very good. You use the POI, but your job in here is convince me 100% and not 50%. I think your opinion is not too strong, but you gave a crucial moment that you POI the second speaker from government team, and that's very good. And from the second speaker from government team, your expression was good. The way that the way you convinced me and you accept the POI, but your statement about humans still have a chance and rhythm himself and the world they still a human. In debate, we using affect and evidence and not a sympathy feel for someone, and that's a statement can be attacked easily by your opponent, and that's a second fatal mistakes from government team. And from second speaker from opposition team, that's very good. At the same time, after the second speaker from government team, you attack him, and that's the point too. And your expression was convinced me too, and I like your performance today, and the way you explain it's convinced me. And the important thing is you rebut the second speaker. And from to the third speaker from government team, you doing your job very well, and that's good. You change the topic immediately, because if this continues, your team will be in an unpleasant position, and that's is not good. And for the third speaker from opposing team, I think overall it's good. You have evidence, you provide a fact too. Your expression was good, and your opinion was strong, I think. And the last is thank you for the both of team, because give your best performance. Today, I think today government team made a fatal mistake twice, and that's mistake put to good use by the opposing team. I think for me that's all. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you, Kak William. And the last is from Kak Keisha. To Kak Keisha, please give your evaluation.
Okay, thank you for the time. First of all, I would like to appreciate both teams, the government and the opposition team, which gave us a fun match today, and it was amazing. And I think overall you guys did a good job about rebutting each other and reacting to each other team's arguments. And I think William and Dinda already said almost everything, but I want to appreciate more about the POI, because I think there's a lot of progress. It was better than the first match and previous match, obviously. And there was so many evidences from mostly from the third speakers, and I hope that you guys gain much experience from this competition, and maybe you guys can practice more and develop more in this field, in this English debate competition outside the faculty. And I think that's all from me. Thank you. See you when I see you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Keisha. Okay, thank you to all of the educators for the evaluation. I would like to announce that the final score of today's debate will be uploaded on Instagram at PORMABA 2022. And the winner of the 2022 PORMABA English Debate Competition will be announced on the Octave agenda. So, Keep on following PORMABA 2022's social media to get more information. And for the next, I'd like to thank both teams who took part in this PORMABA 2022 English debate competition. I'd also like to say thank you to all educators who contributed time and effort to this competition. If there were any inconveniences during the competition on behalf of the commit, I would like to apologize. Before we close this forum, it will be nice if we close with a prayer. Prayer begins. Okay, pray enough. I am Imade Deneradia Batmana. Thank you for your attention. Stay healthy, and have a good day, everyone.